Hello.
Hey,
Josh,
How are y'all this lovely morning?
doing good. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Yeah, it's a lovely sunny day here in Las Vegas. Yeah. How's everything in Oklahoma?
nice.
Kind of overcast a little bit, but we already went on a little walk around the lake, so it's nice enough to do that.
What part of Oklahoma are y'all in?
Creek County.
Okay. Where is that in relation to? I really only know like Oklahoma City. I was born and raised in Texas, but never
We're
really.
about 20 minutes from Tulsa,
Okay.
on the Oklahoma side. So we're about 20 minutes west of Tulsa.
Okay. Yeah, Tulsa's a great city. Yeah, my first question was, how did y'all get involved in the cannabis industry, and describe the process of starting Jeni Janes? That's what it's called, right? I'm getting it. Jeni Janes. Because from what I heard in the Oklahoma system is there's no cap on licenses. So I want to know what that is like, because that's a huge issue of contention and controversy here in Las Vegas. There's all these lawsuits against the Department of Taxation for not handing out licenses. So the whole who gets licenses is quite a relevant issue here in Las Vegas.
Well, it all started with us, of course, with the passage of the law. We could go back way further than that. When I was 15, I knew what I wanted to do, and I was familiar with NORML. But as far as Jeni Janes goes, the regulations are the same for everybody. So it wasn't, they could pick and choose who they do and don't give them to. It's clear cut who can get licensed, and you pay. You hope that you get approved, because if you don't get approved, you don't get your money back. You have to be registered with the Oklahoma Board of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs. And yeah, that's about it.
What was the approval process like? Was there, if you had a criminal background, you needed a certain number of dollars?
As far as they had no regulations as far as the money required to start, so they didn't look into your finances or anything like that. They literally do a background check, and felony convictions. I think it's 5 years after sentence completed, then you're eligible, which we didn't have anything like that to worry about. But yeah, as far as that goes, the Oklahoma Board of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs is separate. So if you get your OMMA license, you could still possibly be denied with the Oklahoma Board of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs, which is another like $350.
If you're denied from them, it's another $350?
No, if you're denied from them, you can't proceed. You're not allowed to handle cannabis in any way, shape, form, or fashion if you do not have your Oklahoma Board of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs number, your registration number.
And what would cause the narcotics board to reject someone?
If they thought that you possibly have a background that would indicate that you would divert cannabis away from the legal industry.
Okay, so I'm guessing drug trafficking,
Right.
distribution,
Right.
along those, even for cannabis offenses?
Yeah, and that's the thing. See, until they grant immunity to those who have been convicted of cannabis offenses in Oklahoma, or they not necessarily immunity, but until they get rid of the sentences prior to the law passing, then yeah, that still could allow you to be disqualified, because it just shows that you could intentionally divert. If you're willing to do it before, that you could do it again.
And how long does that excluded period go back? If you committed like a weed trafficking felony, in the 90s, let's say,
Yeah.
and
If your sentence is done and it's 5 years done, then you're eligible.
okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't know that, because in Nevada here, you got to wait at least 10 years.
Okay.
And that's even for hourly employees too.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's bad here. There's a lot then that's why I'm doing this whole Irregulators documentary process, because I want to show why the regulations in other states are certainly preferable, at least. Not just with the no cap on licenses, because that once I heard that, I was like, what? And I heard like 10,000 licenses were handed out in Oklahoma or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know the exact current numbers right now, but I do know that there's a lot, and a lot of them, with the prices being so low, you can buy the license and then they could spend years building a business because a lot of them aren't even operational as of now.
How much did that license cost to get, if you don't mind me asking?
$2,500.
And that's it for everything?
That's for growing and transporting.
And now I think they've separated it. But when we got our license, growing included a transport license. And now I'm not sure if it still does. I think it's separate. But it's $2,500 for that. Then it's $2,500 for processing, $2,500 for a dispensary license. They have a transport license, I think, that went up to $2,500 this time, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're all $2,500 a piece. The only one that we can obtain is a license to operate a lab, like a testing facility, for obvious reasons.
Understandable. That makes sense. And yeah, I guess that was my next question was getting the license difficult in any way? And when it comes to this lack of licenses, do you feel, or lack of cap on licenses rather, do you feel that that's a good thing, or do you feel like it's oversaturating the market?
Actually, I don't feel like it's oversaturating the market, and that's just my opinion. The cannabis industry isn't like bottling water, where we all have the same water that we're going to bottle. So I think that your product is going to either allow you or disallow you to be a factor in our industry in Oklahoma. So a lot of people, because you have the ease of getting licensed, then that calls into question the expertise that's going to be involved in it. Because if anybody can get a $2,500 license, then it's going to, like I said, there's going to be a lack of experts, and that's going to show through. So I don't think having a cap on it is going to change anything as far as the people who are going to make it, as opposed to those who are going to fail.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I always thought about that with, the no cap on licenses, how that would affect, the market. When it comes to a truly free market, I think a no cap on license is pretty free. Mm-hmm. But I always wonder that, would, only the best cultivators end up being successful, or would, low level cultivators, how that would work?
It gives you a level playing field to start because like I said, if you're going to investor for $1 million investment and you have no expertise, then it's going to be an issue. They're not going to want to give you any money. But if you can break into the business on your own, pull up your bootstraps for a $2,500 license, as a starting point, then that allows a guy who maybe is a great cultivator, a good gardener, has a lot of expertise, but doesn't have a huge amount of money to do the same. So it does. I like it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Now talk to me in a year, and we'll see how I feel then.
Absolutely. I wanted to talk about the state of Oklahoma a little. Coming from Texas, and that's where I got my cannabis journalism and cannabis advocacy start. I saw that the stereotype of cannabis supporters and those who want to be either medically or recreationally legal being, hippies with long hair and, tie-dye and, the Cheech and Chong like stereotype. I learned that that's the furthest thing from the truth. There's, some very, very deep red, very conservative cannabis supporters. There are a lot of veterans I met who, were certainly I would not consider to be liberals, very, very deep red. So I want to ask about Oklahoma with the clientele you've seen and the community there. What is it like? Is it, just the stereotypes, or are there also those very deep red conservative supporters?
No, it breaks every stereotype that you mentioned.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine.
From the beginner, just old enough to go into a dispensary, all the way to 90-year-old people. And we've noticed that because we used to travel to Colorado. We have family in Colorado, and we saw those stereotypes go right out the window in Colorado, And so my dad was a Vietnam vet, and he began his use of cannabis during Vietnam and used it every day till the day he passed away in 2009. So without him having access to cannabis, I could say right now that his life would have been way different. So that was something that you touched on as far as the veterans go, but it's a wide variety of people in Oklahoma who are customers and medical patients.
I'm an optician at a high-end shopping center. And so I sell really high-end eyeglasses. And I thought that I would get a lot of pushback when I was open and honest about what my family was doing as far as a family business. And it's been amazing the amount of older women who are not only totally okay with it, but are curious themselves about what it might do for them. If I'm open and honest about knowing about the business. I had an older man who was like, oh yeah, no, I've been smoking my whole life. I'm just so happy I won't go to jail for it anymore, and it's opened my eyes to an amazing array of people, from extremely successful people here in Oklahoma to, just your average Joe, but it genuinely has no face, no race, no age group, other than just, not the kids. Short of that, there's not a whole lot to define it. It seems like it's just everybody.
No, I'm not really aware of the law in Nevada, but I do know that here we do allow pediatric patients.
Yes.
If they can get a reference from a doctor, then they are allowed to participate in medical cannabis as well.
With what? I'm sorry. Okay. With what conditions when it comes to pediatric medicine? Because I know that varies greatly from state to state.
Yeah, I don't have a huge amount of knowledge about that. I do know that at the dispensary level is where they would know more about that than we do, because we're at this point we just have a grow operation. But I do know that you do have to have a physician's reference, just like an adult has to have, and I think you have to have both parents' consent. I'm not 100% positive on all that, but I know that our law does allow participation, but there are some regulations that are different from adults.
That's true.
Understandable. And what I mainly wanted to touch on with this interview was this second episode I'm doing this documentary. I'm talking about other states' programs, and especially when it comes to the agent card we have here in Nevada, Colorado, they have the MED badge. So a state-issued license that all cannabis employees, even the hourly ones, must hold to work in the industry. And so I just want to hear from an Oklahoma business and people in the Oklahoma industry, is there any equivalent to that, any state-issued card or license?
There is not.
What do y'all do for background checks and to vet candidates to make sure they're, quality people, they don't have a, hideous past or anything like that?
We ask that our employees have a medical card, to be honest with you, because they have to go through that check to get a medical patient card. So you can't be actively on probation or parole. You have to be 5 years from conviction. It's almost the same requirement. So as of right now, we have a very small crew, and it's all family. We're a family-owned business. So Jennifer is the owner, along with another man that owns 25%. So we own 75%. And then his son, and then one of our best friends are the only other people who work for us. So we're really close. Now, in the future, as we proceed, then we'll ask that everybody registers with the Oklahoma Board of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs. And then we'll also do a background check, of course. So,
because I always found that to be super interesting. They're so insistent about the agent card program here in Nevada, yet in other states like Oklahoma, I interviewed someone in Washington. What y'all do is basically what they're doing. They're taking the, background check process away from the state and just doing it themselves. Is that law, or is that common when it comes to Oklahoma cannabis businesses? Is them requiring their employees to have that medical card, or is that just something y'all like doing?
No, that's just something that we prefer. I'm not sure if legally we can require it, but we prefer. We ask, we just ask, do you have a problem with obtaining your medical license? Because you're going to be handling cannabis until it's further regulated, then you're at least legal to handle it personally on a personal level. As far as having a license to handle it professionally, we don't have one.
Wow. Yeah, that's just mind-blowing here.
I know.
So I think that the rules so far are still very wild, wild west, and I think that the regulations are going to continue to tighten down. I also don't think that our licensing will stay at $2,500. I think that it will eventually be more expensive than that as the regulations change. So getting in at the ground floor is definitely going to be beneficial for some people. That is for sure, because I do think that it's going to change.
Okay. Yeah, I guess those are all my questions, really. I just wanted to touch on what it's like working in the Oklahoma industry, especially, in such a deep red state. Coming from Texas, people always think, oh, the red states, will never legalize it, ever.
Thought that too.
We were really surprised.
It blew me away. You wouldn't believe the next day after that passed, I spent the entire day on the phone. I mean, the entire day I was pacing, I was sweating. It was like, it was unbelievable to me too. And until I put the first seed in dirt, I thought they're going to pull the carpet out from under us somehow. It's been a constant worry.
We had plans to move to Colorado. We were just going to go ahead and move our family to Colorado. We were going to start a grow. We were going to save up forever to try and pay for the fees and the licensing and everything that we were going to need in Colorado, but we were going to do it. And then Oklahoma gave us a chance. So we're really excited. I'm trying to bring my little sister home. She's in Colorado because of medical marijuana. So
yeah, cannabis refugees. We're trying to welcome them home now.
Yeah, I'm one. Living in Texas, I had to move out to Nevada because, safe legal access. Also, Las Vegas is fun, but that's a
right. But we do hope that one day you can return and without the fear.
I'm looking forward to it. I miss Whataburger. They don't have it.
Of course.
They don't have it here, so I miss
we
that.
really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. I want to say that since I was a young man, I know about NORML. I remember opening up the center flap near the center flap of High Times, and there was a list of lawyers, and you always wanted to find a NORML lawyer. There was a member of NORML, and where I grew up, there was one that happened to be like a president of a chapter of NORML. So everybody knew to go to that lawyer. But I can say that I really appreciate NORML for all these years of standing up for what we as a community believe in. And like I said, when I was 15, I knew what I wanted to do. And along with other 15-year-olds, they're making plans to be able to conquer these goals, and I wasn't able to do that. So now for the next generation of kids that are just now coming up, and those that realize this is something they want to do, this is a very important what we're doing right now and what you do. And so I salute you, and we want to say thank you.
Of course. Thank you. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to do with this project as well, was, represent the consumers, and show them, especially the Nevada cannabis employees, that they're really being cheated,
Yeah.
And the Department of Taxation loves to pat themselves on the back and say they're the gold standard. And I'm like, I don't know about that.